All right, so today we're going to talk about section 8.5, which is adding and subtracting rational expressions. What you've got to remember is that when you add and subtract fractions, you have to have a common denominator. So if you take a look at these two that I'm supposed to add, I already have a common denominator. It is a 2, so I don't have to fix this one. All I'm going to do is keep my denominator, and it's an addition problem, so I do the first numerator plus the second numerator, and that's it. For the second problem, I don't have the same denominator, so I've got to fix it before I can actually add these. My common denominator for 2 and 6 will be 6, so I want to end up with a 6 on the bottom of both of these. So to change this into a 6, I have to multiply by 3. If I do it to the bottom of a fraction, I have to do it to the top. So the top of that fraction is now 3x. The second fraction already had a 6 on the bottom, so I'm just going to keep that numerator. I don't have to fix it. Now that I have a common denominator, I keep my denominator, first numerator plus the second numerator, and that's it. So now, when we start working with the rational expressions like this, where I have variables in the denominator, I got to work a little bit harder for this. It's not too bad, but you've got to take it one step at a time. So, I've listed your steps. We're going to start by factoring just the denominators. Now, when we were multiplying and dividing, we factored everything. But when we're going to add and subtract, all you factor is the denominators. So I can't factor the denominator of the first fraction, so I'm just going to recopy that. The second fraction, I just recopy the numerator. My denominator will factor into x minus 2 times x minus 1. And now I've got to find a common denominator. So if you take a look, both of these already have an x minus 1. Well, this one's got something extra. Well, I need that over here for this one. So what I want to have on the bottom of both of mine is to have them be the same. I want them to have the same factors. So to fix this fraction, to get an x minus 2 on the bottom, I have to multiply this times x minus 2. If I multiply the bottom by x minus 2, I have to do it on the top as well. So the top of that one is x times x minus 2. The second fraction already has both of those factors, so I don't have to fix the numerator or the denominator. So I'm just going to recopy my 2x minus 1. So now, step 3, we're going to write it as one big fraction. Keep the denominator and add the numerators. So my first numerator is this. My second numerator is this. Now, step 4, in order to finish this up, we've got to simplify the numerator. And what that means is get rid of your parentheses and then combine like terms. So I'm going to start out by distributing this so that I get rid of my parentheses. So I'm going to get x squared minus 2x. Then I'm going to rewrite the rest of this over x minus 2 times x minus 1. I want to combine my like terms. Well, my like terms are these. So when I combine those, I end up with x squared minus 1 over x minus 2 times x minus 1. And notice, I have not multiplied that denominator back together yet. My next step, after I get it all put back together and the numerator simplified, I'm going to go ahead and state my restrictions. And remember, those restrictions come just from the denominator. So I know that x cannot equal 2 or 1. At this point, this problem looks like some we did yesterday. We're just going to simplify that, which means I'm going to factor whatever else can be factored, and then I'm going to cancel. So this numerator will factor into x plus 1 times x minus 1, and I'm just going to recopy my denominator because it is already factored. And now I can cancel my x minus 1 on the top and the bottom. My answer is going to be x plus 1 over x minus 2 with x not equal to 2 or 1. Okay, while this process is longer than what we did yesterday, it's really not that difficult as long as you take it one step at a time. Okay, so here is another one. Okay, we want to find the sum and state the restrictions. So remember, our very first step is to factor the denominators. Okay? If you think you understand this, go ahead and just pause the video, work through it, and then come back and check it as I work through it here. Or if you're working through it on your own and get stuck, then go ahead and restart the video. Okay, so step 1, I'm going to factor everything. Sorry, just the denominators. Factor the denominators. So now that I've got it factored, I need to find a common denominator. Well, both already have an x minus 1. This x here is the extra part. I need it over here. So what I have to do is take this fraction times x. If I do it to the bottom, I have to do it to the top. So now, as one big fraction, here is my common denominator. And then I've got the first numerator plus the second numerator. Now I've got to simplify my numerators. So distribute my x, just like this, and that will give me x squared plus 1x, and then plus a negative 2 is just minus 2 over x times x minus 1. So at this point, let's go ahead and state our restrictions. Here, x can't be 0 and x can't be 1. My next step is I have to take this numerator and factor it so I can see if I get stuff to cancel. So that will factor into x plus 2 times x minus 1 over x times x minus 1. My x minus 1s will cancel, and I get x plus 2 over x, and my restrictions are 0 and 1. So there's my answer. Okay, that's it for addition. In the next video, we'll tackle subtraction.